Hi, we're here with one of our newest agents to the team. However, Melissa has been in the business for a while. And we want to introduce you to everybody and just kind of let everybody know what you're doing and where you're from, and just so they can get to know you a little bit.
Okay, hi Andrew. So yes, I just recently joined this team and it's been wonderful. So yeah, it's everything I thought real estate should be. I am in Oakwood, so that's kind of my specialty market a little bit. So I do know the neighborhood very well because I live there. So I can sell Oakwood really well, but I do work in all markets. So I've learned Ohio really well.
Yeah, so I've seen your market share kind of everywhere, but
yes.
And I know you know Oakwood, and heck, I ask you questions about Oakwood all the time. So Melissa, why did you get into real estate?
Well, from the time I can remember, probably around 7 years old, I used to come home from school and watch this weird little real estate show. It was a local in Hawaii, and it was real estate agents, and it just had them. It was local, and a camera followed around, and it would like show them, and I was fascinated by it. And ever since then, I have always been fascinated by homes. Like I would talk my parents into going to look at homes after church instead of going out to eat. And as I became older, even as a kid, like a teenager, like going into someone's home, I was obsessed. And I would also ask my dad all the time when he was fixing something. My dad was very handy. So fixing something around the house, I would ask him, what are you doing? What's that called? And I've just always also been obsessed with the beauty in homes, different neighborhoods.
Right.
And I've just always been fascinated. And to actually be able to buy or sell. I've also always been in sales. I've always told everyone, you have to love what you're selling, or people will not buy it. Mm-hmm. You have to, and they have to know that your passion is real. So my passion is very real, and they get that from me. And so it makes it pretty easy for me when they see how passionate I am about it. Yeah, so.
Well, and I can tell. I mean, obviously it just shows.
Yeah.
So obviously you got into real estate, a lot of options in real estate as an individual agent, working with lots of different brokerages out there. What was the reason you chose to come and work with us, Andrew Gigas?
Sure. It is hard to find the right brokerage, as everyone knows, especially when you're first starting out. I had a great couple of deals with Chris Vonderoo, and we got along great. We had a lot of conversations, and he said, why don't you come check us out? Right. And of course I had heard Andrew's name. Everyone knows Andrew Gaydosh. So I knew who he was. I knew they were successful, and I thought I should go check them out. And I met with Andrew and Chris, and ever since, I have to say it's the third team I've joined, and the final, because it's the first one I've ever joined that I finally felt like this is what real estate is supposed to feel like. This is everything I thought it was going to be. So I couldn't be happier.
Well, that's awesome.
For sure.
We're super excited to have you.
Thank
feel the same way. So thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So Melissa, as agents, we are lots of different things. We're a combination of our experiences we've had. Many of us feel like we're counselors and divorce attorneys and, babysitters for new babies. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you bring to the table. What kind of experiences leading up to your real estate career do you feel have been very helpful in utilizing in the real estate field?
I think that as a real estate agent, you need to be able to talk to people, obviously. I think someone that's kind of more introverted and can't really put themselves out there, it's not really, the thing for that person. I've moved around a lot as a kid, as I mentioned. So I was born in California, but then we moved to Hawaii, and then we moved back to California, and then we moved to Illinois. So I was always the new kid in class. I do come from a family of 6 kids, so we're all like 18 months apart. Yeah. So you know how when you are in high school, let's say, and you walk to class with your friends, you meet each other at the door, and then you go and sit down and have lunch together. Well, I was always the new kid, but my brother was like 1 year younger than me. So we would meet each other anytime we moved to a new school. We would wait for each other outside history class or whatever, and then eat lunch together until we kind of met our friends. But even then, we had the same friend group and everything. But it makes you, you have to sink or swim as the new kid. in school, period. I was also a diver. I was an athlete, so that helped a lot. That you make instant friends.
Sure.
I went to college on a scholarship, a diving scholarship, so Division I school.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I think that also gives you a lot of discipline
Sure.
in your life, period. I think that instills upon you discipline no matter what when you're an athlete, especially on that level. Again, moving all the time, you are constantly meeting different kinds of people around the United States. When people say, people really are different on the East Coast, on the West Coast, North.
That brings me to another point. I think one of your strengths is that you've lived in many areas around the country, so you tend to be able to connect with people very well, of all different types of people from all different areas.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, when I say I sell Oakwood, because it's pretty easy to sell in your backyard for sure.
Right.
But I have lived everywhere from Hawaii to New York City to Montana to New Orleans, Colorado. So it's very easy to connect with people that way, and I always have something to talk about, or we always have something in common. At least I can find a commonality that way. And I've lived in a lot of diverse places, so I'm used to very diverse communities. And then I'm also not scared of anyone. I'll approach anyone. I'm not. I treat everyone the same, from the CEO to the janitor to anyone. I've taught my kids the same. Yeah. You treat all people exactly the same. I don't care if they're buying a $99,000 house or an $800,000 house. I treat them exactly the same. They are no different to me at all. And I think that's really important in life, period, to treat people. And I've instilled that upon my kids, and I hope that, most people are that way. But I think that also helps me be really successful.
Absolutely.
The buyers really appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of these experiences that you brought to the table have obviously benefited you in your connections with your experience, and just moving around the country, being able to get along with everybody and understand where they're coming from. Sometimes it's a huge deal, because in order for them to get what they want, they need to be heard a lot. So
it's very easy for me to talk to anyone, pretty much.
That's
and
great.
I enjoy it. So
well, I just, like I said, I've noticed the strong connections that you make with people, and part of that's having empathy and also having the ability to understand where they're coming from and what they need.
Right.
Which is a great segue into your first-time home buyer specialty. I know you work with all first-time buyers, second buyers, people moving out of their homes they've lived in for 30 years, but you do enjoy working with first-time home buyers.
I do. I really do. I was a first-time home buyer myself just 2 years ago. It was right before I became a real estate agent, so I didn't know anything.
Right.
And so it was like yesterday. So I very much understand exactly how they're feeling. And so I think I have a little bit of an edge on it, in the sense that I'm very compassionate to that and what it feels like and how scary it can be. And a lot of times as a first-time home buyer, no one really explains to you step by step, this is what's happening, this is what happens next, so on and so forth. And they need to know that. I mean, they have no idea, I love this house, let's sign the contract. And we do that, and then it's what now? Right. And so I'm very good at kind of holding their hand, reassuring them, explaining step by step exactly what's going to happen, and just being very available to them, because I know that's really important for them to know that they have someone there to turn to, and that you're their guide through everything.
Sure.
So and it's just, at the end of the day, those are the ones that feel the best.
Right.
They really do. So I enjoy that.
I think there's huge value in going through something like that recently, because I know when I bought my first house, it was many years ago, and things have changed a lot. And from financing plans to the way that contracts are written. I mean, there's a lot to learn. So having just gone through that, and also having the experience with working with several of them this year, I know you're at the top of your game, so that's great. So Melissa, one of the things I've noticed about you is you're a fierce negotiator. You do a great job with that. And also you're getting your offers accepted in multiple offer situations. I mean, it's a very competitive market out there. And I would think that, having an agent like you on my side would be what I would want. So can you speak to us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I entered the real estate world from a very long history of sales, but also writing a contract for the first time took me probably 4 hours. Then from that point on, I studied it, and like all of us, I'm sure we all lost a few out there that hurt really bad. So I learned from that experience, and I now know what's important to put in an offer when you have multiple offers, And knowing that now, if you want to write an offer and you want to win that offer, I can win that offer for you. Give me a chance and I definitely can get you that house and win that contract.
So regardless if you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned buyer or seller, reach out to Melissa. She can help you out. She's had great experience so far. She's a rising star in the industry and she truly cares. You volunteer a lot in the community. We know that. You've been a great team player. You know, the other members on the team love being around you. You're always very supportive. And I feel like, you know, we are just excited to have you part of our team and look forward to your growth, because I know, having been in the business a long time, running a team, you kind of see what agents you think are going to do really well, and you know that there are some that are just going to go crazy with it. So we're really excited to have you, and thank you for joining us. And
Thank you.
Thanks for letting everybody out there know a little bit about you.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah,
all right.
thank you so much, Andrew.
Okay, you bet.